Good afternoon, everybody. Keith Engle again here for TGI Sports Talk with our Major League Baseball update this time. How's everybody on this scorching hot Friday afternoon here in upstate New York? It's a great day. We're feeling good on a personal level. Lots of good things happening. Lots of things coming together, we hope. Still things that could derail things, but we're happy. We're here on Northeast. We're here on. Where are we? TGI Sports Talk on Let's Talk Sports. Also, you may be seeing this at some point on Sideline Sports, which Let's Talk Sports has entered into an agreement with here in the recent past. So you'll be seeing some of TGI Sports Talk content there. We'll fill you in more as more information becomes available. But they have an internet. Social media presence. They have a TV presence, which will, as I get more information, I will certainly pass on to you guys as well. So great to have you guys with us. A lot happening in baseball, a lot happening in real life. As I said, as I said on a few shows, we're in the process of we've purchased a new townhouse. Maybe half an hour from where we live, half an hour north of here. Maybe a little more than that. Closing is now set, we believe, for June 9th. Only one little thing can throw that off, and it happens. This little Napoleon complex lawyer will not be happy with me. Just threatened everybody who's Napoleon-esque, apparently. Napoleon complex-ish, whatever. But we had good news on our house. It was put on the market just 2 days ago. We have an offer that we have accepted. Still stuff to happen, still hoops to jump through, but all the hard work that we put in has really paid off. So we're very happy about that. Lots to talk about in baseball. Who's hot? Who's hot? I'm hot. I'm riding a good high right now, and hopefully nothing happens to deflate that, because very happy with the way things have gone today. It's been one of the better Fridays that we've had in a while. We're very happy. Again, 2 days on the market, over asking price. We're done. Assuming everything goes to plan the next few weeks, obviously, inspections and whatnot. Anyway. We'll keep you abreast of the personal nature of Keith Engle's life as best we can. Well, we got a baseball. Who's hot? Oh, God. Yankees are playing okay. We'll talk about how the influx of people returning from the injured list, namely Stanton, who will help. Tommy Kahnle is back. And also, my favorite third baseman is back, who I think we had to just cut. The Blue Jays trying to get back in contention here and keep one of my predictions from coming through. Red Sox not hot. None of the Centrals hot. The Royals and the A's still stink. Braves struggling. Mets playing better baseball. Phillies absolutely terrible. We'll jump into all. And the Diamondbacks, by the way, red hot. So we'll jump into all of that and more. And we'll look at this weekend's schedule and see what goes on as we go forward here. Let me hear the rest of this music. It's funny, it's playing at a funny speed somewhat sometimes today. So anyway, great to have you all with us today. Please feel free to comment, to bring up any topics you want to chat about. We'd be happy to dive into them as we go forward. By the way, Gary Sanchez hit a home run for the Padres last night. As strange as that may sound for me to say, it is true. We'll go through the schedule real quick from yesterday, since there wasn't a lot of games. The Blue Jays beat the Brewers 3-1 yesterday at home. The Blue Jays, again, trying to right the ship. They've now gotten to about 3 games over 500. Kevin Gausman strikes out 11, and Bo Bichette and Chapman hit home runs in this game. The Phillies get swept by the Mets. The Phillies fall 6 games under 500. The Mets move 3 games over and only 3.5 behind the Braves. Canha and Scherzer, who we'll talk about today. Let me make a note so we make sure we talk about Scherzer And he continues. We'll get into this conversation. He continues to have his issues with the pitch clock, which, of all the rules we put in, at least this one I can somewhat live with. But anyway, Scherzer goes to 5-2, starting to pitch like the Scherzer of old. Taijuan Walker gets a loss here. The Padres and Marlins. The Padres beat up on the Marlins 10-1 yesterday. Musgrove, gets the win, goes to 3-2. Why this is a bullet point here. Pitches a no-hitter into the sixth. I mean, when did that become a thing? When did pitching a no-hitter into the sixth inning become something noteworthy? Well, when pitchers come out in the sixth inning all the time, I guess it's noteworthy, right? And I believe Fernando Tatis had 3 doubles in this game. He's starting to hit a lot. The Diamondbacks, when they're 5th in a row, Corbin Carroll with a 2-out, 2-run single in the 9th inning to lead Arizona over the Rockies 5-4. And into a tie, which we'll get into for the NL West. The red hot Diamondbacks. The Red Sox broke a losing streak of their own, 8-2 over the Reds yesterday. Rafael Devers breaks a tie in a 6-run 8th inning with a double. The Guardians lose to the Twins 7-6. Some injuries of note in this game. I know that Buxton came out of the game injured. Correa came out of the game injured. Kepler came out of the game injured. So the Twins continue to be snake bit by injuries. Byron Buxton could be one of the best players in baseball in my mind if he could just stay healthy. But I do not remember a year that he's done this. They've talked and they played him a lot at DH to try to keep him in the lineup more. And I'm not sure if he was playing the field in this game. Let me take a quick look at the box score. Buxton was DHing, still got hurt. So the plan to keep Byron Buxton healthy is not working out so good. Excuse me. Who else played yesterday? One other game. The Astros playing good baseball. Now 10 games above 500. Look out, Rangers. Also playing good. Bregman, Abreu, and Tucker all contribute RBIs in this game. Kyle Tucker had 3 hits to lead the Astros past the Angels. 5-2. Let's talk about some of the let's look at some of the news, I guess, in baseball, for lack of a better term. We'll dive into the standings after. Reports are that Angels' Anthony Rendon won't be charged in the fan flap that he had earlier this year, where video showed Rendon grabbing the shirt of a fan who had heckled him, and the fan filed some charges. In this, there was possible misdemeanor assault, misdemeanor battery charges, but it's been decided charges will not be filed. Players have to be careful. Fans, you don't have the right to go and just act any way you want. I've talked about this a lot. You pay a lot of money to go to games, and I get it. Does not give you the right to you can boo players all you want. Do not get personal with people, and do not get up close with people. Players, you got to be smart. But fans, stop trying to goad these guys into doing something that, they don't want to do. Terrible. Alex Simpson from the UK, how are you? The Orioles win it all. We'll get into the Orioles a little bit soon. I don't have any real Orioles news at the moment, but I'm sure there's some we can talk about. The Cardinals put Lars Nootbaar on the IL yesterday, and they recalled rookie Jordan Walker. Nootbaar has been much talked about, much heralded coming in. He's been pretty much up and down here, as the Cardinals have been throughout this early season. And he's going to spend a little time on the injured list. Do not say disabled list, because we will offend disabled people, as we know. Someday my head will explode here live on the air, and I hope you guys are all here to see it. Sorry. Max Scherzer continues voice his displeasure with the pitch clock, this time with the strict enforcement. He feels it's like, gotten really too anal in what they do. In the fifth inning yesterday, or before the fifth inning yesterday, he got into an intense conversation with plate umpire Trip Gibson over enforcement of pitch clock. The rules state that there's 2 minutes between innings for local broadcasts, with pitchers allowed 8 warm-up pitches. But Alvarez, the catcher, had made the last out in the bottom of the fourth, delaying his arrival at home plate as he needed to get his catching gear on. Scherzer didn't get a chance to throw his 8 pitches before Gibson started to signal for the start of the inning. I mean, this is ridiculous. How, you don't have to be that literal. I mean, come on. You're going to have pitchers get hurt. I've said that of all the new rules, that most of them are ridiculous, Rob Manfred-ish. We put stupid rules in, but then never mind. I don't want to get into the political correctness of some other issues. Of all those stupid rules we put in, the one I'm okay with the most and still not 100% behind is the pitch clock. Because it has improved the pace of play, and I talk about it here week in and week out. But then you do stupid things like not letting Scherzer throw 8 warm-up pitches because Alvarez was slow getting to the plate because he had to get redressed. Scherzer says, why can't umpires have discretion in this situation to allow 8 normal warm-up pitches? Why do we have to be so anal about this to have that clock shoved in everybody's face and try to step out every little second that's going on into the game? And that's what's happening. We're micromanaging everything. There's going to be no spontaneity to the game anymore. You heard earlier in the year where the Blue Jays had reached out to the league the day before they knew there was going to be a standing ovation. I don't remember what it was going to be for, to make sure that there was no pitch clock violations. Please keep the pitch clock, but use some discretion about, when to say, oh, okay, stop the clock. You see in the NFL all the time. Put your hand up, stop the clock, start the clock. It's not hard if the catcher's taking a minute to get dressed. God, I know I get worked up about this every week, but every week if something stupid comes up, I feel like referees are saying it's about me and not the game. I don't disagree, Alec. And again, we've been trending towards this for a while. Umpires have done a lot of this, and this gives the umpires someplace where they have some power over the players. You see it the way they engage. Watch umpires go looking for trouble today. And this isn't new. It's been, increasing over the last 10, 15 years, where they go looking for issues. Where umpires in days gone by, it does not mean that there weren't some prestigious arguments, right? And umpires would get involved, but they didn't instigate them as a rule. You didn't see them going looking for trouble, staring players down, staring managers down. And, so I agree with Alan here. It's not about them. And Rob Manfred, when you do something that he can't get out of his own way, even when they institute something that does help the game because it's helped the pace of play, I get that. But nobody looks at common sense, including common sense as part of the deal here, right? I mean, come on. Umpire can't have some discretion to say, don't start the clock yet. Mr. Alvarez is still putting on his shin guards. That's part of that's part of the 2 minutes. That's just stupid. Beyond stupid. Watch your BP aren't long springtime anymore. You ain't as young as springtime anymore, to quote Rocky. Thank you, Rick. This is good. This helps me blow off steam so I don't have a stroke. I'll never be accused. You'll never see or hear that, Keith, God, careful, God. Keith had a stroke or Keith had a heart attack. He just kept it all inside. That's not going to be me. We let it out, and then I'm done until the next time. I can't let this stuff go. I'm like Scherzer. Scherzer goes on to say it's situations like this that are really frustrating, not only for pitchers, players, but even umpires, he says. That's what Tripp says. Tripp is handcuffed. He says, I can't do anything. Well, in Major League Baseball, Rob Manfred, how about getting some feedback from your umpires saying, we need a little bit of discretion, just a little bit. Let me hold my hand up and say, don't start the clock until I go like this. Gibson said Scherzer wanted him to speak out about the issue publicly because the umpires want discretion to give players more time in situations like Thursday. So this goes against what you said, Alex, actually. But your point's still accurate, by the way, just not in this particular instance. They want to allow the game to be normal. The umpires are frustrated the game's not normal, that we're living and dying by the clock. I said I would speak for him. We're way too far thinking about the clock. Not good language, not good English. Would you go to Perth, Max? Throughout the season, Scherzer's had a lot of hate relationship with the clock. Remember, he used it. He used it to his advantage. It might have been in spring training. But a batter called timeout to stop the clock, and he stood there ready to pitch the minute he got back in the box to quick pitch him a little bit. So, look, he's found ways to do it himself. The White Sox reinstated Mike Clevenger and Elvis Andrus from the IL, not to be confused with the DL. I should just let it go, right? How much this is going to help the White Sox is debatable. Diamond Sports Group ordered to fully pay Major League Baseball team contracts. They've been navigating through. They work under the. They're the RSN operator that airs broadcasts under the name Bally Sports, and they've had contracts with Major League Baseball teams. And the bankruptcy judge ruled in favor of 4 teams that they owe money. They had argued that it should pay the Twins, Guardians, team formerly known as the Indians, Diamondbacks, and Rangers less than what the current deal calls for, noting the rapid rate of cord cutting throughout the United States has significantly devalued the assets. You signed a contract, dude. Have some foresight. Good grief. What do you got here, Alec? Who do I think is pushing this TV money? MLB wanting more fans. They're not going to get, look at, personally, I don't see how MLB is going to get more fans by pushing games to multiple broadcast partners that charge. And I've said this, since I started doing my podcasts 3 years ago now, I've been talking about this. We're heading towards the day, Alec, and everybody, when all sports is going to be on a pay-per-view basis. You see it with Major League Baseball. You see it with the NFL. The NFL started it with the NFL ticket, but that was good because you got to see all the games out of your market. If you were a Viking fan like Rick, wanted to pay the money for the ticket, you could watch all the Viking games. Baseball obviously started moving to cable, which, by the way, is all, if it's not broadcast over the air and I can pick it up on my digital antenna, which I can get 54 channels on, by the way. One thing I hate about moving to Half Moon is I'm sure I will not get all those channels. Who knows if I'll get any of them. I'm in a great location here for that. But any game that's not broadcast over the air or digital, you're paying for. So when baseball and football even went to ESPN, for part of their packages years ago. It became pay for viewing, pay for, am I saying that right? Pay-per-view. Yeah. And it's gotten more so. Baseball has been expanding in the last couple of years, showing games on Prime, showing games on Peacock, showing games on Apple. You never know where to go find the games. Right now, I couldn't swear to you where the Yankees are playing tonight. I don't know if they're on Yes. I don't know if they're on Apple. I don't know if they're on Prime. And you can't watch Yankee games. I think Prime might have something where you can watch them free this year or X amount of games or whatever. But we're moving towards pay-per-view for everything. Football has games on the NFL Network. They're going to have games. They're going to have playoff games next year on Peacock. You don't think you're going to pay for those? It won't be long before we're paying for everything. And Alec, how is that going to bring more fans in? It's TV. It's the league. It's television too, because television is going to make money from the broadcast rights on advertising, pushing their other programming. That's why they pay. They pay huge money for these things, not necessarily for the rate. Yes, for the ratings. They want eyeballs there, but they want to push their other programming. And Major League Baseball and the NFL, they just want more money, more. Costs you a gazillion dollars to go to the ballpark. It costs you. That's on the teams. It costs you. Now it's getting to be. It costs you money for games you watch for free forever. Not coming back, and we're not going the other way. You don't put the genie back in the bottle, right? And you don't hurt any of the Bills fans at the recovery room. And you don't hurt any Bills fans' feelings at the recovery room. Actually, I do. I used to. It's hard to now. Hello, Don. Don's my old friend. How do I know Don? Good to have you with us, Don. I'm curious how I know each other. And if I'm misremembering something, I apologize. Good man. Trying to remember my old friends. Alec agrees. It's awful. You're probably, over there it's probably worse for you, Alec, I would think. I mean, you probably pay for more stuff than you don't in the UK. Don play took under 8 in the Dodgers versus the Yankees. Is that a good pick? Yeah, I know who you are now, buddy. I'm pretty sure. Did you just come on my college football show and ask me for picks too? College basketball games, college football games. We'll be starting up, by the way, the college sports huddle again. Probably, I would say, we're going to be moving on just June 30th. So I'm going to be back to work probably after the holiday on the 6th, I think. I'm taking a pretty good bit of time off. We'll miss some shows during that time. Hopefully no more than maybe Friday shows. But once we get settled in, probably by the middle of July, we'll bring the sports huddle back. So anyway, back to your question. You took over 8 in the Dodgers versus the Yankees. Let me see who's pitching. Severino and Clayton Kershaw. I like that a lot. Severino's pitched really well. Clayton Kershaw's pitched well, hasn't gotten hurt yet. Dodger Stadium is a good pitcher's ballpark, so I think I would like that. What do you got here? Taking the first 5 under. Not sure what the first 5 under would be, Don, but I like your bet. I really do. I thought I did, Don. I'm sorry if I didn't remember you right off. Maybe you might have had a different profile picture. Good to have you with us today. I'm happy to help you with picks anywhere I can, but don't blame me if we don't win. What do we got? Keith, I'll be on vacation. I'm reading out loud the messages I'm getting from work here. Uh, hang on one second, guys. I got to respond to this. So, Don, how did we do with the picks I gave you, possibly? There we go. That was an important little thing I had to send out there. Thank you. Yeah, I like that 8, by the way, tonight. Severino's pitched well. Mohawks run ruled out your Dutchman last night. Not my Dutchman. Probably, if I had to say I was a fan, I'd say I was a Mohawks fan. Rick? I don't even know who plays up in my area now. Is there any teams up in the Clifton Park, Saratoga area? I don't think there are. And Rick's talking about the Amsterdam Mohawks. I would love still, Rick, to get Rob Spagnola on about the. Is it Rob? It is Rob, right? To talk about the Mohawks one. Maybe when I come back, because the season still goes through July, I know. So maybe we could get him on one Wednesday night when we come back. Talk about the college players that he's got there. We got the College World Series coming up too. Speaking of baseball, so I may actually, the more I think about it, we may do a show if I have some time before then, just to talk about. We're heading through the regional. CA brought it up this morning on the Are You Serious show, and I didn't get a chance to address it. But they're starting regional play soon. I think they're through all the conference tournaments. Regional play starts, heading towards the College Baseball World Series. A lot of those, a lot of the Mohawk players, most of the Mohawk players are college baseball players, and a lot of Division I players at that. So, Brian, that's right. I'm sorry, I don't mean to mix that up. If they're watching, I apologize. Brian, love to get Brian on the show and talk about the perfect pitch league, perfect game league. Where was I? I got myself disoriented here. What else we got going on here? I'm going to touch on this subject, and I debated whether I wanted to. But I'm going to talk about it for a few minutes. Baseball and the Dodgers have made national news with their Pride Night, which, listen, I really don't have a problem with Pride Month, Pride nights at ballparks. I don't care. And if they want to promote, inclusivity and support for LGBTQ fans who love the game, then I don't have a problem with that. But this Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, this is a group that has been brought into the Dodgers, and they're a group that includes drag performers who dress as nuns and use humor, irreverent wit to expose the forces of bigotry and compliance. This is their organization's website saying this. But, this is also a group that, is not terribly inclusive itself. And they've brought up some strong feelings because of the way they act out, and they have their own bigotry and lack of indulgence for people who maybe have different beliefs than theirs. I don't have a problem with anybody. You can identify any way you want. But if you try to incite people from either side against people that are part of this community, or people that maybe don't care for that community, then you're doing something wrong. And this group has got some very shaky background. And baseball I understand that they want to be inclusive, but you don't need to get out there and show how woke you are. You just don't. And this has brought up a lot of vitriol on both sides of this issue. Many baseball players have spoken out against it. A lot of Dodgers, including Clayton Kershaw and some others. And baseball needs to get out of the business of politics. Don't pat yourself on the back for the fact that you were inclusive and want these people to be part of your family. And again, I'm a person, listen, I'm a very conservative person. I'm the least woke person that walks the face of the earth. I mean, maybe not the least, but one of the least. But I don't care. I really don't care. I don't have a problem with people's personal choices. If you want to identify as a Cabbage Patch Kid, I don't care. As long as it doesn't affect me and you don't, because when you start to become, when we have to go out of our way to do this, right? I think it diminishes both sides. And you get these types of political arguments and you need to, we're not going to spend a lot of time on this unless you guys have comments, which I'm sure some people do. But you have to be careful who you get involved with. It's very similar to, in a way, when Rob Manfred pulled the All-Star game out of Atlanta. That's not your place to get involved because you don't agree with the election results in a state, which is basically what happened. To take them to another state where the election results were disputed. Oh, God, it's laughable. Stay out of politics, Rob. You do a bad enough job in baseball. You can't help these groups by bringing in people that are of questionable character to represent those groups. Again, I don't have any problem with anybody and what they do. I don't even have people who have a problem with who want to push the climate change issue. I have my issues with climate change. I don't doubt it. I don't agree with all the science, the quasi-science that I see on either side of this thing. It's the people they put out to be the front men for these things that really hurt their own causes. So anyway, I apologize. I just had to get out on a little rant. So we'll see. This has caused quite a furor. First it was canceled, then it was put back on, and it's just crazy, crazy stuff. What else is going on? The Cardinals are going to recall their top prospect, Jordan Walker from AAA. He will be in the lineup Friday. I believe he'll be in the lineup. He's joining the team Friday in Pittsburgh. Ahead of their weekend series with the team. He originally bypassed AAA and was on the club's opening day roster out of spring training, but it was optioned back at April 27th. He hit just 2 home runs while he was there, hit .274, but the Cardinals feel they fixed some mechanical concerns that they had with his swing, and he is back with the big team. But it's also I don't know. I guess it's also adding to their outfield logjam as well with Tyler O'Neill, Dylan Carlson. Well, Nootbaar's now on the DL, so that frees up some playing time for Walker. We'll see how that goes. A lot of prospects have been brought up to baseball recently. I was going to say the Angels brought up their top 2 prospects recently as well. And listen, the Cardinals need a little boost. They got off to a bad start. They had a nice run for a couple of weeks, and they've kind of regressed again a little bit. They're still not out of it. The Cardinals will definitely be buyers when it comes to trade time, but we'll see how that goes. Chris Sale yesterday got hurt. He left the game against the Reds in the 4th inning. He had been pitching pretty well up until late, and he got hurt, unfortunately for him. The Guardians activated Savall and McKenzie versus the Twins. We talked about that. Right, Chris Bryant again is out with a left heel bruise. This has not worked out well for Chris Bryant. He signed a 7-year, $182 million contract with Colorado. Last year, played just 42 games when he had back and foot injuries. This year, he's played 50 games. Or through 50 games, he's hitting just .263 with 11 extra base hits. They did activate Charlie Blackmon in his place, but this has been a nightmare for Bryant and the Rockies since they made this deal. He was supposed to be the centerpiece of this lineup, and he chose money over success or winning, let's say. I always question guys who do that. So another setback for Chris Bryant, guy who had gotten off to a great start to his career, and it's really gone backwards on him, unfortunately for him. I said the Yankees activated Stanton, Donaldson, and Canely. It'll be very interesting to see what the Yankees do here. Excuse me. Oh. The Yankees have been playing pretty good baseball, as we know. Without Stanton. Stanton will obviously help this team and help this offense. But Donaldson has been a rally killer for a year and plus with the Yankees. Stanton had been out since April 15th with a strained right hamstring. Donaldson since the 5th of April with a right hamstring of his own. Canely began the season on the IL with biceps tendonitis, and all three have been playing some rehab games. In corresponding moves, the Yankees optioned Oswaldo Cabrera, who was a big part of their stretch run last year, playing a lot in the playoffs. He's not played nearly as well this year, and they hope to get him to the minors to maybe get it back. And with Kinder Falafa kind of playing all over the place and filling Cabrera's utility role, I guess they feel he can straighten himself out in the minors better than he can in the majors. They do open a 3-game series, as we know, with the Dodgers this weekend. So Stanton, again, does make the lineup better. It's going to be a question of where he's going to play. He does plan to play. Boone does plan to play Stanton. DH. Problem is, Stanton hits better when he plays in the field. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does there. With Donaldson's return, it means LeMahieu will go back to his role where he'll play third, second, first, and DH throughout each week. Donaldson has been a disappointment for New York, obviously. I personally think it's time to maybe cut bait here. DJ had played a really good third base and has been having a pretty good year. Probably not the best move here for the Yankees, at least from a chemistry standpoint. Not a big Donaldson fan, and he's not going to be kind of guy who'll sit the bench quietly if that's what needs to happen. Tommy Canely will help an overworked bullpen with Clay Holmes, Wandy Peralta, Michael King, and even Marinaccio having to do a lot of the work in that bullpen. We talked about Cordero struggling. They hope they can get him straightened out. He's only hitting .247, 6 homers, and 19 RBIs. Not awful, but he's really gotten into some bad habits, and I think they need to get him out of here. I'm sorry, that was last year's stats. My bad. He's been hitting just 195 with 3 homers and 15 RBIs in 50 games. I thought that looked wrong. So anyway, Yankees will have I guess some reinforcements coming in, for lack of a better term. I won't even get into Mike Pence's comments about some of the stuff that I talked about. So anyway, what else we have here? Let's get into the league. Let's look at what time we got. 3:39. Let's look at the standings, go around the league a little bit as we normally do on a Friday. And if you have any topics you want to chat about, please post them. Probably lost my whole audience with my rant about Pride Night. Again, I want to make it clear, I'm not against. I'm not against gays. I'm not against transgender people. I'm not against anybody. I'm against anybody who wants to push their agendas on me. That's all. I know gay people. Lots of them. Close to many of them. But this group is not, indicative of who should be, fronting that movement. Anyway, American League East, the Rays with 40 wins continue to win, 40-18, almost 700 baseball, 690. Listen. I got on them a lot early in the year for beating up on bad teams. Well, they're beating up on everybody they play. 6-4 in their last 10. Still with a 4-game lead over Alex Orioles. Alec, you told me you were going to be a Yankee fan, by the way. Where are you? Are you still here with me? You told me you're going to be a Yankee fan, and now you're telling me the Orioles are going to win it all. Good team, by the way. Really good team. The last year, one of the best teams in baseball. The Yankees, 6-4 in their last 10, as we just talked about their reinforcements coming up. Big series against National League power Los Angeles Dodgers. The Blue Jays at least play 500 for the week, which gets them to 9.5 games out of first. They're still in pretty good shape for the third wild card, so it might keep Brian Schneider in his job. Again, I predicted that he would be the first Major League Baseball manager fired, and Donnie Baseball would be managing that team. As Drew pointed out, I said that would be by July 1st, which gives me a reprieve because I thought it was Memorial Day. The Red Sox have started to come back. They're 3-7 in their last 10. The Red Sox, again, give them credit for how well they played early in the season, but I do think that they're on their way back the other way. The Twins decimated by injuries, as I said. Joey Gallo, by the way, hitting about 180, between 180 and 190, pretty much very consistent for him. But Buxton, Kepler, and Correa all came out of games this week, and the Twins holding on. They're playing in the worst division. Well, it's debatable, I guess, whether the AL or the NL Central is the worst division in baseball. But, right now they're leading this division still by 2.5 over the somewhat surprising Tigers. The Guardians continue to be a disappointment. 6 games under 500, cannot seem to get it going. The White Sox had a brief run. They're back to 12 games under 500 after going 4-6 in their last 10. This team very likely will be sellers at the trade deadline. And if I have time, we'll talk about some possible trade prospects with pitchers. But there's not going to be many. There's going to be so many teams that feel like they're alive for the wild card that you're going to see more buyers than sellers. It's going to drive up for the price for the few guys that are going to be available. Where else? The Royals are just terrible. The Rangers continue. Listen, Alan Perales, where are you, buddy? You become a big star and you don't pop in my shows anymore. Kidding. Rangers still playing good baseball. 35-20, 7-3 in their last 10, holding still steady over the resurgent Astros. 6-4 again this past 10-game stretch. 2.5 games now behind the Rangers. The Mariners starting to get it together. Look out. 7-3 in their last 10, put within 6.5 of that lead. Angels starting to sputter a little. 5-5 in their last 10. Playing a lot of kids. Phil Nevin managing for his job with the Angels. I think the Angels probably need to make the playoffs for Phil Nevin to keep that job again. And the Athletics, 2-8 in their last 10. That doesn't get old. 2-8, 1-9. This team's going to break the record of 120 losses. I do not see any way this will not happen. And by the way, this is going to bring up a great, I guess, debate point here as we head towards the All-Star break. One of the rules is everybody's got to get in. Well, why do I have to take an Oriole? Who actually deserves to be there? I mean, you could take Ruiz, the center fielder. He's got 28 stolen bases, but his number otherwise are very pedestrian. Langoliers, the catcher, hitting 212. Brent Rooker, the left fielder, hitting 260. He does have 11 dingers and 32 ribbies. An OPS of 874. Somebody among those is probably going to be their representative. And personally, you're going to leave somebody off that's much more deserving so that one of these guys can get in. Don't like it. I've never liked that. Now I know, back in the days where your teams weren't on TV every week and all we had was a game of the week, and you didn't have access to all your team's games. I didn't. The only time I would get to see, teams other than the Yankees would be either on the Saturday game of the week or in the All-Star game. I'd watch guys in the All-Star game that I'd never see any other time. And then it was nice to have a representative from every team, but the game's different now. And for people who think I'm unable to accept change, there you go. I can. Let's move to the National League. The Braves are sputtering a bit, 4-6 in their last 10. Their lead down to 3.5 over the Mets, who are 6-4 in their last 10. Won 3 in a row, as we said, over the Phillies. Starting to play better baseball. Verlander, Scherzer starting to pitch better, more consistently. So Senga. The bat's starting to get a little bit warmer. The Phillies, listen, I don't see, what are they going to do? They can't fire Rob Thompson. Who are you going to fire this time to fire this team up? I said before the year they had some major flaws like they did last year. They had a great run to get to the World Series, but it was just that, a great run. And the Nationals bringing up the rear. In the Central, the Brewers, by default, continue to lead the Central. They're just 4-6, as were the Pirates. The only team with a winning record last week or the last 10 days is the Reds, which are going 7-3. Only 3 games back are the Reds. The Pirates, after that hot start, a half game behind, and the Cubs have fallen all the way to last place. Again, talk about buyers and sellers. With how weak the National League is, all these teams are going to fool themselves into thinking they're wild card contenders. The Diamondbacks, 7-3 in their last 10. 5 wins in a row, as we mentioned when we went down to scores. Playing great baseball. Just pushing that 600 mark. 34-23. Dead tie with the Dodgers. So interesting. Diamondbacks, we talked up in our preview show this year and thought they might be a year away. Maybe we were off by a year. Dodgers hanging tough at 6-4, 500. Padres winning 10 games, still under 500 by 4. Injuries catching up with them as well. Padres, huge disappointment. They don't make the playoffs. And maybe they got to do something drastic to make the playoffs. But we'll see what happens there. The Rockies are bringing up the rear there as well. So I wanted to talk a little bit, see if I can find what I wanted to chat about. Bear with me a second. Great story, by the way. Sarah Langs reflects on her MLB ALS journey on Lou Gehrig's day. She was diagnosed with ALS. How long ago? Let's see. I'm trying to remember how long ago this was. She was diagnosed, I want to say, I can't find it. I was looking for the date. Anyway, she's a young woman. She's not that old. She's been diagnosed with ALS, as I said, and she's been making trips around Major League Baseball and kind of honoring the late Lou Gehrig, who the disease, unfortunately, is named after. She's been overwhelmed by the reception that she's had in ballparks. And she approaches the day with a great attitude, even though that she has a basically a death sentence before her. But she's been spending 2 weeks traveling around the league, and she says she spent the past 2 weeks reading about a bad break. Yet today, I guess she's talking about Lou Gehrig's speech in which he talked about when he was dying, he considered himself the luckiest man on the face of the earth. And he considered it a privilege to be able to play with the men that he played. And, you know, it was good. And now she is somebody who is taking a cue from Lou, and demonstrating great courage, I guess, and a great appreciation for life while she has it. And so it's a really nice story, and check up on it. Sarah Langs, MLB ALS Lou Gehrig week. So, looking at some of the pitchers that might be available, you know, I don't think I'm going to get into that today. We're trailing off a little bit here, so I think we'll wait until we get a little bit closer. There's going to be, we talked about this recently. I guess I'll talk a little bit about it. There just aren't a lot of good names really looking to be moved. Ohtani would be the biggest name. If the Angels fall out of the race for some reason here in the next month, it's possible that he could get moved. But the other names that you're looking at are going to be Chapman and Scott Barlow. All of these teams that, what do you want me to do about this? My God. Yeah, I'm not adding your new sale. Sorry. I don't have time. Nope. Anyway, it's going to be a very, very weak class of trade potentials, is all I can say. So we'll get into that more as the season moves on. We're getting very close to the end of the show, so we're going to go through the schedule for this week, and then we'll wrap it up. And we'll be back at 5 o'clock, I think. Let me check something here quickly while I've got you guys with me. I think we'll be back at 5 o'clock with Dan Harris with the Let's Talk Sports show. I have not heard back from him, though. Well, I haven't heard back from him, so I'm assuming Dan's going to be with me at 5 o'clock. If not, we'll rough it through New York sports talk, and we'll talk more about the Yankees and the Mets and some other stuff. So what do we got going on this weekend? Let's take a quick look at the schedule. Major League Baseball, and we'll see who the pitching matchups are tonight to start each one of these series, shall we? Milwaukee will travel to Cincinnati, battle of powers in the NL North. Corbin Burns against Brandon Williamson. That's on Apple TV, speaking of what we were talking about before. Oakland will travel to Miami. Maybe Miami can get hot again. Edward Cabrera, one of the good young pitchers of baseball. Those Marlins keep finding pitchers right and left, let me tell you. Zach Wheeler and Joshua Gray will match up in the Philadelphia and Washington game. I know the Philly sports guy was heading down to Washington for that series. St. Louis will travel to Pittsburgh in another big matchup in the central of the National League. Jack Flaherty against Contreras. Tampa Bay will play at Boston. Tyler Glasnow just off the DL last week. Not a great debut for him, but he'll face Garrett Whitlock, former Yankee, tonight. Toronto will go to the Mets. Big series for these two teams. Two teams trying to get themselves righted and back in the saddle, if you will. This will be Chris Bassett, former Met, against Justin Verlander. Seattle will go to Texas in a big AL West matchup. Luis Castillo against John Gray. I would say the two aces of those staffs, since DeGrom can't get to the mound ever. The Angels will go to Houston. Big game there. Ohtani against Valdez. Cleveland will play Minnesota. Savell against Uber. Cleveland at Minnesota. Oh, sorry. I just said that. Cleveland at Minnesota. Colorado at Kansas City. Chase Anderson against Jordan Lyles. How's Jordan Lyles still pitching in baseball, guys? That tells you how bad Kansas City is. Detroit at Chicago. Sox. Reese Olson against the recently activated Mike Clevenger. Arizona will host Atlanta. Big series for Arizona. To get a barometer about where they actually stand, I think, in my mind. That'll be Charlie Morton against Merrill Kelly, one of the really good young pitchers for the Diamondbacks. The Cubs face the Padres. James Taillon against Michael Wacha. Big surprise for the Padres. The Yankees travel to the Dodgers, as we said. Severino against Clayton Kershaw. Baltimore will travel to San Francisco. Dean Kremer against Logan Webb. And that gives you all the matchups that we have for this weekend. We went through a lot of news today and the sports. And sorry for my little diatribe about the political correctness that Major League Baseball feels it needs to show day in and day out. And Rob Manfred, concentrate on the game on the field. Stop screwing it up. Stop fixing what isn't broken. And forget about the political nonsense. You know, if you want to run for office, run for office. You're the commissioner of Major League Baseball. This is Engle from TGI Sports Talk. Good news for us today. After an offer on this beautiful home. Sorry you guys didn't have a chance to bid. Have a great day. We'll see you later at 5 o'clock with the Let's Talk New York Sports show with Dan Harris and myself. You guys have a great day and enjoy the baseball. We'll see you next time.